Warm greetings to all the parents. I hope you have seen the first two videos of this series of understanding thinking abilities of children. This is the third video in the series, and the first video talked about where do children all need thinking abilities and how are they related to their adult life. And in second video we talked about how does the thinking develop, how does the thinking process develop, what all are the ingredients in the process of thinking. And in this third video we are talking about how parents can in fact impact the thinking abilities of children, how they can help children enhance their thinking skills. So let us start with the very first aspect of this thinking abilities. So first thing is, we as parents are always in hurry to answer the questions, or in fact the systems are such, all systems are such that there is already an answer given first, and then the child has to learn that answer. So everybody is in hurry of giving the answer, the parents or teachers or books or so the system is designed like this. So what happens in the process is that when the child is not able to think and there is already an answer ready to learn, so there is nothing to explore. When there is nothing to explore, there is no curiosity about it. When there is no curiosity about it, there is no interest. So it's as simple to understand why children are not interested in studies or in learning school subjects. So if as parents, now what we can do here is that let us make this our ability to hold on to not giving answer to what the child is asking. When the child is asking for an answer, we can just hold on, we can provide the resources from where the child can look for answer instead of giving the direct answer. So this also will nurture the questioning skill. Once we give answers, the questioning skills is killed. It's just killed then and there. So to nurture this questioning skill, we need to allow child to observe and to act with the minimum interruption from the parents, the minimum interference from the parents. Only if there is a safety issue, parent can interfere. Otherwise, parent is actually not required to interfere or to guide the child or to instruct the child. So the more we allow child to observe and to feel and to act on their own, their thinking abilities, their concentration, their focus, it develops. And the more it develops, the more questions comes to the child's mind, because it makes them curious. So more questions comes to the child's mind, and more questions makes them more observant and more focused. So this is how this chain works. So let us one first quick thing we can do is, as parents, that we can be try to become a little more aware that how much are we answering our child's questions. And the second point comes from here, overfeeding the child with information. So when we think, most of the parents, we think that if we give more information to a child in early age, the child's brain development will be more. That's a myth, dear friends. That's a myth, because brain does not develop with information. Brain develops with imagination and curiosity. A simple analogy we can see here to understand is that when the person is not hungry and you are giving a person some food which you feel is very nutritious, but the person is not hungry, this food will only cause indigestion. And the same goes with the information. The information which is not needed by the child, which is not asked for from the child, causes indigestion in the brain. The child is not able to digest this information and it overloads the brain, and it stops the brain from becoming curious and becoming creative. So we can decide, we can choose between this, that do we want our child to be overloaded with information, or we want our children to be more creative and curious. So this is a simple choice we can make here, and we can work upon it. And similar next from this leads to the next action process, which is when the child is observing or is engrossed in some action. At that point of time, at that moment, interfering with the child's process of observation or feeling or action is really not called for. Because when the child is engrossed in something, the child is processing the information, the child is trying to make meaning of the information. And during that time, when the child is trying to make meaning from some information, and the parent suddenly drags the child out of that process and says that, have this is the time for milk, this is the time for sleeping, this is the time for food, so, or this is the time for homework, that really irritates the child. So we can understand how and where are we contributing to our children getting irritated from us, from the parents. Yeah. So observing and feeling and acting, so these are natural tendencies of children, and they should be allowed as much as possible. Nothing is more important than observation and feeling and being in the act. Rest, everything can wait. And from here I pick the next sentence of letting the child observe and feel the natural phenomena, because human beings are natural beings, and observing and understanding and feeling the natural phenomena, like the seasons, the climate, the festivals, the flowering, the plants, the soil, the leaves, the color of leaves, the nesting, the birds, animals. So when we observe them, we see the cycle of nature, and we see the patterns of nature. And when we see the patterns, when we see the cycle of nature, it reassures the child about the completion in life. So keep the child near the nature as much as possible. That's a very healing space for child. Nature is a very healing space for child. So by being in nature, children can really learn, and they can learn to learn actually. And from here, next point I pick up is of not helping the child when not asked for. So this is also related to the thinking ability. So when we are helping the child when the child is not asked for very simple tasks, like eating food, like wearing clothes, like taking bath, like writing, like doing homework, like packing the school bag or travel bag, or doing any project, or doing a very small thing like cleaning and dusting the table. Even for such small things, when we help the child, when the child is not even asked for it, so somewhere we are telling the child that we don't trust you and you can't do it well. So when this message is going to the child stops thinking on the higher level. The child starts thinking that the child is not to be trusted and is not good at things. So this also affects the thinking abilities of children. And from here I pick up this another aspect of criticizing a child or instructing a child. So when we are continuously instructing a child about how to do this, you should do this, or you should not do it like this. So when there is a continuous instruction and there is a continuous criticism, then it makes the child withdraw from many things. From we might have seen many times when the children are continuously criticized, they will withdraw from whatever the parent want them to do. So criticizing in very simple, it's not very big, yeah, but very simple things like you leave it, you do not, the way you do bed is not really good, so you leave it. Or the way you are you don't know how to put your timetable properly in your school bag. You cannot so when very small things, or like planting the plant watering the plants. So if the child is watering, so stopping them from anything, any small thing, that also comes under the category of criticizing a child. So, or also instruction. So please see, let us understand and look at ourselves and see, are we walking instruction manual for our child? If yes, then we need to work upon this, because in life we don't get any kind of instruction manual. There is just a situation which is to be dealt with. So if we want our child to prepare for the life where the child can deal with it, and take the consequences, then we need to stop being instruction manual for our child. Let the child take the responsibility, let the child do it, let the child see the consequences, and then learn from that and experience it. So all this, when we give instruction, it stops thinking. When we criticize, it stops thinking. When we punish, it stops thinking. And when we reward a child, it also stops the thinking process. Yes, even reward is as dangerous as punishment, because in the life later you don't get rewards for anything. For very simple things, like in childhood, parents can give reward for completing the food in time, for completing the homework in time, for scoring particular marks in particular some class. So parents can give rewards for that. But when we are grown up, nobody gives us rewards so casually, and then we find it difficult. Many a times we have seen adults looking for approval and assurance always, everywhere, and when we don't get it, we feel stressed, we feel anxiety, we feel depressed. So all these problems are coming from the childhood. So let us understand that punishment is dangerous, but at the same time rewards are also dangerous. So these are few quick tips. I think parents can just reflect where they can start from, 1 2 3, whichever you feel is will work better for you, and you need to work upon. So you can pick up one of that tip from this list, and then maybe you can start working on it with your child and give space to yourself and to your child. Wish you very, very happy parenting. Thank you.